Ladies and gentlemen, you will never build the life you deserve if every decision you make is driven by emotion. Reaction is easy, but strategy is power. Every time you let anger speak for you or fear decide for you, you're handing your future to chaos. This isn't about being cold. It's about being in control. Because the strongest person in the room isn't the loudest. It's the one who can pause, think, and still choose power over impulse. So ask yourself, are you moving with strategy or emotion? Emotion is one of the most powerful forces a human being can possess. It drives us, ignites our passions, and pushes us to chase after what we believe in. But when emotion becomes the sole compass, we risk getting lost in the noise of our own reactions. Passion without direction becomes a wildfire. Beautiful, powerful, but uncontrollable and destructive. It can lead to impulsive decisions, unnecessary conflicts, and regretful outcomes. That's why emotion must be respected, but not worshipped. It must be understood, but not blindly obeyed. Every successful endeavor starts with emotion, yes, but it is sustained by discipline and clarity. The ones who rise aren't the most emotional, they are the most intentional. Their moves aren't random bursts of inspiration, they are deliberate steps on a chosen path. There's a difference between movement and progress. Emotion might get you moving, but only strategy will get you somewhere meaningful. Think about the energy it takes to sprint in circles. It's exhausting, but you're not going anywhere. Strategy is what transforms that same energy into a straight line towards something bigger. It gives your passion purpose. Without a plan, even the strongest drive can become self-sabotaging. So often we believe being emotional means we care more. But true care means being smart with your energy. It's choosing your battles. It's thinking long-term, even when your heart screams for immediate gratification. Strategy doesn't mute your feelings. It organizes them into a powerful system of action. That's where real strength lies. People often mistake being strategic for being cold or unfeeling, but there's deep emotion in choosing to pause before reacting, in choosing peace over proving a point. Emotions are real, but they're also temporary. Strategy honors the emotion, but still keeps the bigger picture in view. It's like driving a car with a GPS. Your emotions may tell you to take a sudden turn, but strategy checks the route. It makes sure you're not just reacting to a detour, but still heading in the right direction. It's about having self-awareness, understanding your triggers, recognizing your habits, and knowing when to hold back or when to move. That kind of self-mastery doesn't come from raw emotion. It comes from training your mind to work with your heart, not against it. That's when you stop surviving and start thriving. When you learn to move with strategy, you become unshakable. You stop being tossed around by every high and low. You stop letting temporary people or temporary pain dictate permanent decision. Life will test you. It will provoke you. It will give you every reason to act out of frustration, insecurity, or anger. But power is in restraint. It's in the ability to think clearly in chaos. Strategy allows you to anticipate, to prepare, to move with purpose rather than panic. And the world respects people who don't just react, but who respond with thought and confidence. You don't have to be the loudest to be the strongest. Silence with a plan is far more powerful than noise with no direction. Many people fail not because they lacked the emotion, but because they lacked the plan. They had the will, but not the way. Talent is common, discipline is rare, motivation is fleeting, consistency is king. Strategy is what keeps you moving when motivation fades. It's your blueprint when things fall apart. It's the voice in your head reminding you of your goals when your emotions beg you to quit. Building a life, a career, a legacy. It doesn't happen by chance. It happens by design. It's not about being perfect, it's about being prepared. That preparation allows you to move smarter, not just harder. Emotion might open the door, but strategy walks you through it with confidence. This doesn't mean ignoring your emotions. It means leading them instead of being led by them. Feel them. Honor them, but don't act on them without thought. Let your emotions signal where your passion lies, and then let your mind create the map. The heart wants what it wants, but the mind knows how to get it. And that combination is unstoppable. People who only move with emotion often burn out or break down. But those who move with strategy build resilience, they bounce back faster. They don't let every setback become a breakdown. They turn it into a breakthrough. Because their moves are calculated, not chaotic. They're climbing, not just running. Being strategic isn't about overthinking. It's about being intentional. Every decision is a seed planted for your future. And you don't plant without knowing what you want to grow. When your moves are guided by a bigger vision, you're less likely to waste time on distractions. You're less likely to give your energy to things that don't align with your purpose. That's what strategy does. It filters your actions through the lens of your goals. And when you start doing that, life feels less overwhelming. You stop chasing everything and you start building something. That's where confidence is born, not from emotion, but from clarity. The world will tell you to follow your heart. That's good advice. But follow it with a map. Know where your heart is taking you and know how to get there without losing yourself. Strategy gives you that structure. It keeps you focused. It allows you to move with grace, even under pressure. It helps you make decisions that your future self will thank you for. Because emotion focuses on now, but strategy sees tomorrow. Emotion might push you to react, but strategy teaches you to respond. And in that space between reaction and response, you find power. Every great success story is built on strategy. Behind every shining moment, there's hours of planning, preparation, and disciplined execution. Emotion got them started, but strategy brought them to the finish line. That's the truth most people miss. They see the passion on the stage, but not the precision behind the scenes. They see the inspiration, but not the intention. It's not about being robotic, it's about being wise. It's about being strong enough to feel everything, but not let everything control you. That's real power. That's what it means to move with strategy, not just emotion. And in the end, strategy doesn't kill your emotion, it gives a direction. It turns your passion into a purpose. It takes your raw energy and channels it into real momentum. Emotion gives you the why, but strategy gives you the how. And when you combine the two, you don't just make noise, you make history. You don't just hustle, you build. So move with emotion, yes, but lead with strategy. That's how you rise, stay grounded, and create something that lasts. Because anyone can burn bright, but only the strategic burn long. Success doesn't happen by accident, and it definitely doesn't happen by just showing up. Too many people believe that being present is enough, that their passion or talent will carry them through. But presence without purpose is just a shadow. To rise above, you have to play to win. You have to walk into every room with a reason, every opportunity with a strategy, and every challenge with a mindset built to conquer. Being busy isn't the same as being effective. And effort without aim is just noise. The ones who make impact aren't the loudest or the flashiest. They're the most intentional. They study the game, they understand the players, and they don't waste moves. No, actions are focused, their energy is guarded, and their eyes never leave the goal. It's not about proving yourself to anyone else. It's about proving your own potential to yourself. There's a difference between working hard and working smart. Showing up with no game plan means you're hoping for luck. Showing up with a strategy means you're creating results. You don't need to chase attention, you need to command respect through results. That only comes when you stop playing emotional games and start playing the long game. You're not here to entertain people, you're here to evolve. You don't need applause to be powerful, you need alignment with your purpose. Power isn't in being seen, it's in being undeniable. And that requires a mindset that's not just reactive but calculated. Every move you make should serve a bigger picture, a higher version of yourself. When you walk into a room, people should feel the presence of someone who is clear, focused, and ready. That kind of presence doesn't come from being loud. It comes from knowing your value and knowing your mission. It comes from preparing so deeply that confidence becomes your natural state. Winning is not about ego, it's about clarity. It's about having the courage to stick to your plan, even when emotions want to take over. Everyone has moments of doubt, fear, and frustration, but the difference lies in how you respond to them. Winners don't let emotions run their day, they let vision lead the way. They understand that distractions are everywhere, but discipline builds empires. And that discipline starts with how you show up, not just for others, but for yourself. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be prepared. Success favors the ones who practice when no one is watching, who plan when others are sleeping, and who think 5 steps ahead. If you want to be taken seriously, take your path seriously. Know what you want, and don't just chase everything that looks good. The best players in the game aren't the ones who react to every move, they're the ones who dictate the flow. That's what it means to play to win. It's not about being aggressive, it's about being precise. It's knowing when to speak and when to listen, when to wait and when to strike. That sharpness doesn't come from emotion, it comes from awareness. The more you prepare, the more powerful your presence becomes. People often underestimate the power of quiet confidence. They think being strategic means being manipulative or distant. But it's really about being in control of your power. There's strength in restraint. There's dignity in not engaging with every distraction or every provocation. When you play to win, not every battle is worth fighting. Some things aren't setbacks, they're just noise. And when you can separate the noise from the mission, you become unstoppable. Emotion may push you to respond, but strategy reminds you that not everything requires your energy. Preserve your power. Direct it where it matters. Let your actions speak louder than your reactions ever could. Every situation, every interaction is an opportunity to move closer to your goals or further away. People who play to win don't waste time proving themselves in places that don't align with their vision. They don't settle for being liked, they aim to be respected. Respect comes when you show consistency, when your work speaks for itself, and when your decisions reflect clarity. You can be kind and still be firm. You can be humble and still be fierce. Playing to win doesn't mean stepping on others. It means refusing to step back from your purpose. It's choosing growth over comfort, discipline over drama, and results over reactions. That's how champions are made. Not in the spotlight, but in the shadows where preparation happens. You have to remember that energy is currency. Where you place it determines your return. Pouring your emotions into things that don't build you up will drain you. But investing your time, your mindset, and your energy into strategy will empower you. The world may praise talent, but it rewards discipline. You might not always feel motivated, but when you move with strategy, you don't need to. Your actions are tied to your goals, not your moods. That's what sets the winners apart from the rest. They don't need perfect conditions to act. They create momentum by staying consistent. They show up, not just to be seen, but to execute with purpose. Every step they take is one step closer to the vision. Sometimes people mistake patience for passivity, but true winners know how to wait with purpose. They know timing matters. They don't rush just to feel productive. They move when it's right, when it's smart, when it's aligned. That's what playing to win looks like. It's not desperation, it's direction. It's refusing to move just for the sake of movement. It's knowing that progress isn't always loud, it's often internal, quiet, strategic. When you make decisions from a place of clarity, your energy becomes focused. You stop second-guessing. You stop over-explaining. You simply do what's required, again and again, until the results become undeniable. That's the mindset that wins in life, in business, in everything. Winning isn't about always being right, it's about always being ready to learn, adjust, and rise. Strategic minds are flexible, not rigid. They aren't attached to ego, they're attached to growth. They don't crumble under pressure, they adapt. And when you play to win, you're not obsessed with perfection. You're obsessed with progress. You know that failure isn't a threat, it's a lesson. Every loss contains a seed of wisdom, and strategic thinkers know how to plant it for future success. That resilience doesn't come from emotion alone, it comes from intention. You fall, Yes, but you rise better, smarter, and stronger every time. That's how you outlast the noise and outgrow the limits. In the end, it's not about how emotional you are, it's about how effective you are. You can feel deeply and still move wisely. You can be passionate and still be calculated. Playing to win means aligning your emotion with your execution. It means having the courage to think before you leap, to plan before you speak, and to act with clarity even in chaos. The most powerful moves you'll ever make will be the ones you made when you refused to be shaken. When you chose strategy over drama, focus over frenzy. That's how you win. Not by chance, not by noise, but by precision, discipline, and vision. That's how you stop performing for the world and start building something that can't be ignored. In moments of emotional intensity, it's easy to forget that not every feeling requires an immediate reaction. Life will test your patience, your pride, and your peace, but how you respond defines your direction. Emotional reactions might feel powerful in the moment, but they rarely lead to thoughtful outcomes. When you detach, even briefly, you create space between what happened and what you choose to do about it. That space is where maturity lives. It's where clarity forms. It's not about being cold. It's about being conscious. Anyone can react, but it takes strength to pause. Pausing doesn't mean weakness. It means control. It's the difference between chaos and clarity. In the heat of emotion, we tend to magnify moments that in hindsight weren't worth our energy. That's why detachment is such a powerful skill. It allows you to zoom out and see the full picture. Not everything that bothers you deserves a response. Not every insult is an invitation to engage. Silence, when chosen wisely, speaks volumes. It shows that your focus is on the bigger picture, not temporary noise. People who master detachment don't suppress their emotions, they observe them. They learn to ask, is this worth my energy? Before acting. That question alone can save relationships, careers, and personal peace. Detachment helps you protect your priorities. When your emotions are in control, you may win an argument but lose a connection. You may satisfy your ego but sabotage your growth. That's the cost of reacting without thinking. Emotional decisions often feel right in the moment, but they carry long-term consequences. Strategic detachment lets you assess whether what you're feeling is rooted in truth or just a passing wave. The goal isn't to avoid emotion, it's to understand it. Once you understand it, you don't let it drive the car. You sit with it, process it, then act based on wisdom, not impulse. This is how strong leaders, thinkers, and creators navigate complexity. They move from purpose, not pressure. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you care enough to protect your peace. It means choosing not to let the emotional chaos of others infect your own clarity. Some people will try to pull you into their storms, but it's your choice whether you step into that weather. You can feel everything and still choose calm. You can care deeply without losing your sense of direction. Emotional intelligence is not about being emotionless. It's about knowing when to step back, breathe, and think. When you're emotionally charged, your vision narrows. But when you detach, even slightly, your vision widens. You begin to see what really matters. The truth is, people who don't know how to detach end up being controlled by every emotional wave that hits them. They lose time, energy, and focus, reacting to things that don't serve them. That's why detachment is a skill worth mastering. It's not a defense mechanism, it's a strategy. It helps you keep your goals in sight, even when the world tries to distract or disturb you. Being calm in chaos doesn't mean you're unaffected, it means you're grounded. You know that reacting wildly won't help. Responding wisely will. This emotional discipline allows you to think clearly, act deliberately, and lead yourself with integrity. There will be moments when your pride is challenged, your emotions are provoked, and your instincts scream for a reaction. That's when detachment becomes your power. Instead of feeding the drama, you observe it. Instead of reacting to pain, you process it. This doesn't make you passive, it makes you powerful. Because the person who cannot be provoked controls the outcome. Emotional discipline gives you leverage, not just in conversations but in life. It allows you to keep your energy aligned with your mission, not with distractions. The more you practice this, the less reactive you become. And the less reactive you become, the more in control you are of your journey. Strategic detachment also helps you protect your time. When you're not constantly caught in emotional whirlwinds, you gain clarity about where to invest your focus. Not every situation deserves your full attention. Not every conflict needs your participation. When you master the art of stepping back, you learn how to conserve your energy for the things that matter. That's when you stop just surviving and start building. Time and energy are your most valuable resources, and detachment guards both. It creates a buffer between you and unnecessary chaos. And in that space, you become more intentional, more focused, and more resilient. People will try to misunderstand you, challenge your calm, and test your boundaries. But you don't have to meet them at their level. Detachment is what allows you to rise above the noise and respond from wisdom instead of emotion. It's not about being superior, it's about being self-aware. When you stop taking everything personally, you regain your power. Not everything is about you. Not everything deserves your explanation. Emotional maturity is knowing when to speak and when to let silence do the talking. That kind of control doesn't happen overnight. It's built through consistent awareness and practice. One of the most important parts of detachment is trusting yourself. Trusting that you don't need to react to prove a point. Trusting that your worth isn't tied to how quickly you defend yourself. Trusting that your peace is more valuable than momentary validation. When you trust yourself deeply, you no longer feel the need to explain everything. You simply act with intention, grounded in your values. And when others try to pull you out of that, you stay centered. That's what emotional strength looks like. Not reacting to everything, but responding to what truly matters. Trust creates space, and in that space, wisdom grows. In a world that often glorifies instant reaction, detachment feels radical. But it's not detachment from people. It's detachment from chaos, ego, and emotional impulsivity. It's choosing long-term peace over short-term satisfaction. It's leading yourself fast so you can lead others well. It's understanding that clarity comes not when we fight every battle, but when we choose which ones are worth our time. Emotional discipline isn't about denying how you feel. It's about directing how you respond. That direction is what turns potential into power. And in that calm, steady space between emotion and strategy, you find your greatest strength. Every emotion you feel is valid. But not every emotion deserves a seat at the table when you're making decisions. There's a difference between acknowledging your feelings and letting them lead your life. Emotions are like weather. They shift, they pass, and they don't define the landscape beneath them. If you make choices based on how you feel in the moment, you risk building a future on unstable ground. Strength isn't found in denying emotion. It's found in directing it. Emotional maturity is knowing that feelings are real, but they aren't facts. You can feel hurt and still move forward. You can feel fear and still act. Emotions inform you, but they don't have to control you. Too often, people act out of anger, sadness, frustration, or insecurity and end up creating more problems than they started with. Emotional decisions feel satisfying for a moment, but leave you cleaning up the consequences for years. That's why emotional control isn't weakness. It's wisdom. It's the ability to pause, to breathe, and to ask, is this the direction I want my life to go? In high-stakes situations, the calmest voice always has the most power. You don't win by being louder, you win by being clearer. That clarity only comes when emotions are tempered by perspective. A calm mind makes better moves, and better moves create better outcomes. You can respect your emotions without being ruled by them. Anger doesn't have to become action. Sadness doesn't have to become stagnation. Fear doesn't have to become avoidance. Emotional control is like a muscle. It grows stronger the more you practice. You start by noticing your emotional patterns, when they rise, how they influence you, and what triggers them. Then you learn to respond differently. Not perfectly, but consciously. It's not about suppressing your feelings. It's about separating your reaction from your response. Reactions are instant and often regretful. Responses are thoughtful and intentional. When you make that shift, your entire life changes. Real growth begins when you learn to sit with an emotion without letting it dictate your next step. You stop chasing validation. You stop fighting every criticism. You stop needing to win every argument. That's when you realize emotional control isn't about being robotic, it's about being resilient. It's the difference between exploding and expressing, between suppressing and channeling. You become more aware of your own power. You see that not everything deserves your reaction. Some things are better left unbothered. And in that space of stillness, you find clarity, confidence, and calm. That's where transformation begins. Not in chaos, but in control. Life will constantly throw emotional triggers your way. You will face disappointment, betrayal, loss, and pressure. But how you process those moments is what separates the reactive from the resilient. Emotional control means feeling fully but responding wisely. It means showing up with intention, not tension. When you develop this strength, people feel it. Your presence becomes grounded, not shaken. Your words become measured, not scattered. Your actions become impactful, not impulsive. That's real power. It's not loud or flashy, but it's unshakable. And it earns respect not just from others, but from yourself. There's a time to cry, a time to feel, and a time to breathe through it all. But there's also a time to rise. Emotional control helps you rise without denying what you feel. It teaches you that you can walk through the storm without becoming the storm. You don't have to react to every offense or fall apart at every challenge. You're allowed to feel broken and still move with intention. That's what strength looks like. It's not the absence of emotion, it's the mastery of it. And the more you practice that mastery, the more your life begins to align with your vision instead of your moods. Controlled emotion is not coldness. It's clarity in chaos. It's the steady hand that writes your future while the world tries to shake your pen. You might be passionate, empathetic, even sensitive, but that doesn't mean you're weak. It means you feel deeply, but you choose not to be consumed. That choice is where your power lives. Not in perfection, but in presence. In learning to pause before you post, breathe before you speak, and think before you act. Each time you do that, you take your power back. You prove that you are not your mood, you are your mindset. And that makes all the difference. In a world driven by impulse, emotional control makes you stand out. It's what separates the professionals from the panicked, the visionaries from the victims. You become known not just for what you do, but how you carry yourself. You walk into rooms differently. People listen when you speak, not because you demand it, but because your energy commands it. That's the kind of control that can't be faked. It's earned in the moments when you wanted to react, but chose to rise. In the moments when you wanted to explode, but chose to evolve. And those are the moments that shape leaders, creators, and champions. The more you master your emotions, the less you fear challenges. You stop running from discomfort and start using it. You understand that setbacks aren't signals to stop. They're opportunities to reset. When your emotions are managed, your decisions improve. Your relationships strengthen. Your vision sharpens. You begin to move with a level of grace and precision that only comes from within. Emotional control is a gift you give yourself. It's the foundation of peace, the root of patience, and the armor of purpose. It doesn't mean you never feel chaos, but it means chaos won't feel like the end. You'll always know your way back to calm. The greatest version of you doesn't live in fear, anger, or emotional chaos. It lives in the stillness you create when you learn to hold your emotion and choose your action. That version of you builds, grows, and impacts others, not from reaction, but from reflection. It doesn't let emotions run wild. It lets them speak, and then decides what to do next. This version of you isn't unfeeling. It's unstoppable. Because when your heart and your head move together, you make decisions rooted in both truth and wisdom. That's what leads to lasting transformation. Not quick reactions, but conscious choices. Not chaos, but clarity. Not noise, but power.